Ladies and gentlemen, please take a look at these slides that I handed out. And if you'll look at them, one slide represents some animals that have been hit by cars in the middle of the road. And they're pretty graphic, but that's for a reason, to get your attention. The other slide shows some deer that have been malnutrition, and that's because there was a lack of food for the amount of deer in the area. What we're talking about is overpopulation of animals. Today we're going to discuss some of the solutions that can be used to manage the overpopulation of the deer across America. Really look at these handouts and put yourself in the position of the person driving those cars. And just imagine what it might be like having that deer come through the windshield of that car. First, we're going to discuss some of the methods used to manage overpopulation. Then we're going to discuss the pros and cons to one method, which is birth control. And then third, we're going to discuss some of the pros and cons to sport hunting to control the populations. I've retrieved my information from PETA. PETA is an organization. It's called People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. They want to try to put the end to sport hunting. Another place I got my information is the United States Department of Fish and Wildlife Service and the U.S. Department of Agricultural Nutrient Data Library. Let's begin by discussing some of the methods used to control the overpopulation of white-tailed deer. The largest concern is focused on the best method to control the numbers. PETA says that the United States Department of Fish and Wildlife Service estimates that there are over 30 million deer in the United States, and that sport hunting has basically been an ineffective method. And it's because of that, some state governments are experimenting with different methods. One of the most favored methods is sterilization. It says that it's an effective long-term solution. An experimental birth control vaccine is being used on female deer in Princeton, New Jersey. And another study in Georgia, actually here in the state of Georgia, did a study on 1,500 white-tailed deer on Cumberland Island. It found that if females were captured, marked, and counted, and that sterilization reduces the herd size, even when they sterilize only a small number of animals. So it can be effective. The other method used to control the overpopulation of deer is hunting, sometimes called sport hunting. This method allows the public, through the attainment of permits, to hunt, kill, and consume the animals. And this thins out the herd. The purchasing, and on top of that, the purchasing of hunting permits, hunting gear, the money is used to help fund the federal management programs. Now that we understand that there are two very different ways to deal with the problem, let's discuss some of the problems we have with sport hunting. The largest concern is focused on the best method to control the numbers, and most importantly, a humane method. Some organizations insist that many animals suffer a prolonged, painful death because of being injured by hunters. One study placed radio-controlled collars on 80 white-tailed deer and found that 22 of the 80 deer were killed with archery equipment, and out of those 22, 11 of them were never recovered. So obviously those deer died of a very slow and painful death. Also, some groups believe that the delicate balance of the deer herd and the ecosystem ensures their own survival. They believe that if they're left alone, that the predators will kill the weak and sick deer and allow the more healthy deer to do the breeding and keep the herd strong. Now let's discuss some of the good and the effectiveness of properly managed use of sport hunting. How can sport hunting be good? What are some of the positive aspects? Hunting generates money for conservation and can be a healthy and very safe sport. It's actually deemed that hunting is safer than skiing. We need to understand that the North American deer don't have enough predators to hunt them and to kill all the weak deer. There's not enough predators nowadays. So this is not going to work, even though this is the theory. Maybe many years ago, but not now. The only predators they have are cars going up and down the road. The sale of hunting licenses, tags, stamps, and is the primary source of funding most state and federal wildlife management programs. By respecting season limits, purchasing all required licenses, and paying federal excise taxes, hunting equipment, and ammunition, individuals hunters make a big contribution towards ensuring the future of many species of wildlife. By paying the federal excise taxes on hunting equipment, hunters are contributing to hundreds of millions of dollars to the conservation programs. So basically, they're paying to hunt and they're paying to protect the animals at the same time. Also, if you look at the handout, you can see that it shows not only is this type of management working, it also is a healthier alternative to consuming beef, fish, and pork. Generally, game meat has less fat and cholesterol than traditional red meat. And because the wild animals typically are more active than domestic animals. Let's review the highlights. Today we talked about some different methods used to control the animal overpopulation problem. We began by discussing the two methods most widely used. Then we discussed some problems that some people have with sport hunting. And finally, we showed how sport hunting is a viable method of game management and a safe sport and a healthier alternative. Remember that unlike other American sports, hunting wild game is actually a necessary sport. It promotes conservation of animals. Teaching our young people to respect wild animals and how important hunting can be when conducted properly is an investment on our future and a future with healthy and happy animals. And now you got to cut it off.